Welcome on in, everybody, here to AuburnUndercover.com. Nathan King here with Jason Caldwell. Auburn falls in the Iron Bowl to end its 2024 season, 28-14, here inside Bryant-Denny Stadium. Jason, the story of the game, it was not as if Auburn did not have opportunities here. If you had told somebody Auburn comes in, forces 4 turnovers in Tuscaloosa, would have a good chance to win. They had their opportunities over and over again. Squandering those, I think, is probably the biggest storyline of this game.
Yeah, it is. I think you look at it, and those opportunities early. You have a missed field goal. You have to settle for a couple of field goals early on. And so instead of 21 points in the first half, you have 6. And so that's a huge part of this one. You have a couple opportunities in the second half. There was, as Hugh Freeze said, I thought they dialed up a perfect play on the first down. Lambert Smith's wide open, Faith Thorne overthrows him, and so that costly. You have down there on the goal line and couldn't punch it in. And I went back and looked, and people talked about it. It's like I just went back and looked, and Jarquez Hunter had, I think, 4 for 46 in his first 4 carries of the game. 4 for 46, 9 for 13. The rest of the way.
It's not like they didn't run him.
Alabama just said, "Hey, look, we're not going to let you run the football." And once Auburn fell behind, it really took that out of play as well. And so I thought the inability to punch those in was a huge part of this game.
Yeah, it was a turnover on Alabama's first possession. Ryan Williams fumbles. Jalen McLeod had a fantastic game. He had not one but 2 strip sacks. I think 2 TFLs for Keldrick Falk. Obviously fell on that fumble there in the second half. So opportunity after opportunity, getting down close to the red zone. Jason, I asked Peyton Thorne about it, but the thing is, it's been a storyline all season, not executing in crucial moments. And again, like you said with the Jarquez play, the call was that Keandre came open. Again, it's just about timing, little things here and there, not executing. We're in game 12. The season's over. That's been the story of the entire season.
It was kind of a fitting into this season where you went, opportunities. Had opportunities to be there. You had opportunities. You're 28-14. You get a break in action. You come back and kind of do a little razzle-dazzle play. And as Hugh Freeze said, look, we just didn't coach it well enough because there were 2 options for the play. Jarquez could have thrown it back to Peyton Thorne. That one probably was the one that was open a little bit, but again, it did work out for them. I thought, once again, this team played pretty solid football.
Yep.
The thing that showed up again to me today was the line of scrimmage. Alabama was better on the lines of scrimmage. Auburn's defensive line made some plays. But where Alabama was able to get to the corner, they were able to do some of those things, had 200 yards rushing. And so you start talking about that, 200 yards rushing with 4 turnovers, that's pretty hard to do. So it was almost either Auburn forced a turnover or Alabama was 75 yards. There was kind of nothing in between today.
Yeah, credit where credit is due to those to that defense for Auburn creating those turnovers. And then, to me, it felt like 28-6. It was like, all right, it's curtains, it's over. It obviously ended up not being the case. Obviously, Auburn had several doors opened after that point, and even stopped Alabama. They chewed a lot of clock off, but they didn't score again. And so, the defense did some things, but again, it was just a case of not having complete football on both sides. They've been waiting so long to have those turnovers. You and I have been talking about all season. This is a good defense. The one thing they were lacking is forcing the turnovers. Can't take advantage of it in this game. And like you said, it's sort of a fitting end. It will turn the page to the offseason, but sort of fitting end to what was a disappointing year too for Hugh Freeze and this team.
Yeah, it was. Like I said, I thought they did some good things again today. 300 yards passing. Had the late interception. It was kind of but I thought they did some things offensively. Made a few plays here or there. Again, it's finishing. And it was kind of finishing was the story. Even defensively today, you create some turnovers, but you couldn't finish on third downs again. It was 8 for 14 on third downs, and I think it was 8 for 12 until the last couple. So you look at it, again, it was a case of finishing, lack of depth, lack of explosive talent at some spots, really costly for them. But, I thought from beginning to end, we asked a couple of players today, I thought this was a team that improved a whole lot over the course of the season.
Yep.
I thought they did it again today. Just wasn't quite enough to get over the hump. But I thought this is a team that grew some, even again today in the loss.
Yeah, and they're obviously it's going to be a longer off season now when you go 5-7. You got that Texas A&M game to point to. They're going to take positive. They'll take positives where they can. But Jason, turning the page to the off season, obviously we're going to get into it now for the next several months. But Hugh Freeze said, they've obviously got an opportunity in the very near future to start upgrading their roster. Starts on Wednesday. We saw Tavares Dice flip to Florida. I think they'll be okay. You were expected a few things here and there. The Naeem Offord decision is obviously a really, really big one. But these between signing day and the portal, this next month is going to be really key for what is a really important 2025 season.
Yeah, you got to figure out what your roster is going to look like, what you can do to upgrade your roster. Obviously, big coming Wednesday with the signing day first, and then you see what happens with the portal. who you may lose, who you're going to try to gain. Obviously big coming up. Keeping some of these pieces together. There's some talented young guys that showed up today again and made some plays for this team, building blocks for the future. And so start looking at the lines of scrimmage. That's obviously a place that Auburn has to get better at. I think everywhere else, depth in the secondary, you got some youth. Everywhere else, this team looked like I thought could compete. I still think the lines of scrimmage, and that's something where they just had to try to rebuild it. They did a better job of it this year. Now you just got more work to do now.
Alabama 28, Auburn 14 here in the Iron Bowl. Barring any sort of crazy academic stuff regarding 6-6 teams, Auburn is not going bowling this season. So like Jason said, signing day on Wednesday is the next step for Hugh Freeze and his staff. For Jason Caldwell, I am Nathan King. Thank you guys so much for joining us on the Postgame Pod, and we will talk to you all soon.